Now, in this video, what I want to do is to introduce you to something which I'm going to refer to as the magic of trade show success. Now, don't let the title put you off. Yes, I am a professional magician. However, there is no magic really involved in this. It's simply another approach, a different approach to trade shows that I think is vital if you want your trade show to be successful. So the first of these elements is making a difference. It's really important that you approach the show with the frame of mind that you are going to make a difference. And when I say make a difference, I don't necessarily just mean make a difference to yourselves in terms of your return on your investment and in terms of the revenue you generate. Yes, they're very important. What I mean is about approaching the show with the frame of mind that is the mindset about making a difference to the people who attend the show, the visitors to your stand, the people who you'll be engaging with during the 2 or 3 days that the show is on. And if you do make a difference to people, what you're doing is creating an extremely powerful memory hook, because they're going to see an awful lot of exhibitors during the day, and it will only be those exhibitors who actually make a difference to them who they will remember. So what do I mean by making a difference? Well, first of all, you can think about changing their emotional state. When you're at a trade show, you'll see an awful lot of people coming past your stand. Each and every one of them will be in a different emotional state. Some people will be stressed because they're running around, they haven't got much time. Other people just won't want to be there. What you want to try and do is to change that emotional state. Bring them round to a happier frame of mind. Make them smile. I know it sounds very simplistic, but it's very important if you want to make an impression on them. It's the same way that if you met somebody in a pub, for example, you would want to make a difference to them because you'd want to make them smile. You want to make them like you. And by doing that, you're, as I say, creating a very, very powerful memory hook. You can also think about changing their physical state. You will see this quite a lot in shows where they have a massage on the stand, or seats and coffee, and elements like that will make a difference to people's physical state. Simply by asking someone if they want to sit down will make a difference to their emotional state and to their physical state. By allowing them to relax on your stand, you'll create a change in their physical state, and again, you'll be creating that memory hook for them. And ultimately what you're trying to do is to change their mind. And by this I simply mean is if they haven't heard of your product or service, you want them to leave knowing who you are. If they have heard of you, you want them to leave thinking that you're a potential service that they could make the most of and make use of. You're trying to change their mind in some way, change their opinion, change their perception of who you are, what your company does. And once again, if you change that, if you can achieve that change of mindset, then you will have created a very powerful memory hook with them. The second point is what you're trying to do, obviously, at any exhibition, any trade show, is to attract attention. Now, I've seen this at hundreds of shows. What people will do is spend a huge amount of money on floor space. They'll get a big space. They'll spend a lot of money on stand build and design, and the stands look fantastic. And that is great. But the truth is, no matter how great your stand is, just because you've built it doesn't necessarily mean people will come to the stand, unless it is extremely unique. And actually, if it's extremely unique, then it will be covering some of the other aspects that I'm going to talk about. What you need to be doing with people is attracting their attention by proactively approaching them, by engaging with them. One of the benefits of a live marketing event is exactly that. It is a live marketing event. It enables you the opportunity to talk to people. And that's what you need to be doing, to physically engaging with people. Now, what you may or may not know is that attention is easy. Getting attention is very, very simple. If I wanted to get your attention in the street, I'd simply hide behind a bin and jump out at you and scare the living daylights out of you. Attention is easy. But that kind of attention isn't very useful, because it bears no relevance to what it is you're trying to achieve at the show. So just attracting attention by using some kind of stand attraction service, which, by the way, is how the service I offer is perceived. Just by offering a stand attraction service, you're not really doing yourself any favors unless that stand attraction service can be relevant to what you're trying to achieve at the show. Because what is really important to understand is that attention isn't the same as interest. And what you're trying to do is to, as quickly as you get attention, which really takes seconds of your time, what you want to then do is turn that attention into interest. It's the old acronym, marketing acronym of attention, interest, desire, and action. attention is not the same as interest. And if your standard attraction service is not providing you with a conversion technique, a strategy for moving from attention to interest, then it's probably not serving you in the best way that it possibly could. So if you are looking proactively to get attention, think about ways that you can move that attention towards interest. And because you are talking to people, because you're engaging with them, that's just a great opportunity in itself to change attention into interest. I've always been taught that to be interesting, you need to be interested in people. And that's really my third point. In order to attract attention, you need to pay attention. You can convert somebody's attention, the attention you've got very quickly by approaching them in the aisle of a show, and you can convert that into interest. But it doesn't necessarily have to be interest in the product or service you have initially. It can just be interest in you, and you do that by showing interest in them. I think by asking people the question, what it brings you to the show today, isn't really great. Yes, it's an open question, but it's simply the question they're going to hear 10, 20 times throughout the day. Try and show interest in who they are as an individual. Pay attention to who they are. Do they look tired? Can you change their physical or emotional state in some way by offering them a seat? Have they got lots of bags, multiple bags? Can you offer them a big bag to put it all in? I don't know. Something that will pay attention to who they are, their physical state, their emotional state. Pay attention to them, and you'll be able to convert the attention you achieve into interest very, very quickly. Once you've got their attention, obviously what we're trying to do at any trade show, any exhibition, is generate leads. Again, the benefit of live marketing events is that you can talk to people. And by talking to people, you're able to do something that you can't do with any other kind of marketing, and that is to pre-qualify them. By simply sounding people out, finding out who they are, what it is they do, where you could possibly fit into their current business model, you're pre-qualifying them. And it's important to understand that simply by pre-qualifying them, you're making life a lot easier for yourself on the follow-up from the show. If you're just going to scan people as they walk past with a light pen, then what you're doing is basically creating a great deal of work for yourself, and you have to filter through, you have to do the qualifying after the show. Why not do the qualifying during the show? Try and pre-qualify everybody if you can. And it's really a case of asking a question, of being very open with people. And you can be as blunt as saying, you know, is a service like ours of interest to you? If they say no, then of course you then have the ability to ask why, to find out more about them, and possibly turn it around somewhat. And that's all about seeing the bigger picture, because not everybody is going to be a potential customer for you at the show. But just because they're not a potential customer for you today doesn't mean they're not going to be a potential customer for you tomorrow, or in the future, or the next day. So by talking to people, by finding out who they are, by paying attention to them, by understanding what their needs and their requirements are, you can get a better idea of where they fit into your business strategy and where you fit in to theirs. Now, the other thing about seeing the bigger picture, and this is an approach that I don't think I see a great deal of at trade shows, but I think is really a really valid approach. And that is, what about the stands around you? Who are they? If they're not in direct competition with you, maybe they have a complementary service that you can, if you stop someone and you find out that potentially the people on the stand over from you might be of interest to them, maybe pass them on to them. Don't always cut people off just because they're not a direct customer of yours straight away. If you can help out the people at the stands around you, then maybe they'll be prepared to help you out. And effectively what you've done there is extended the size of your stand. And it's a really useful, and it also makes the day go a great deal quicker, and the show go much easier if you're working and collaborating with the people at the stands around you. Another thing to think about in terms of seeing the bigger picture is, do you have products or services that you're not necessarily promoting at that show, that aren't at the forefront of your mind at that show, that people who are stopping may be interested in? A recent example I had was working with an IT hosting company who, although they were there to promote their IT hosting services, they were also in the background promoting their partnership program that they had. So when people were stopping and they weren't necessarily looking for hosting solutions, what we could offer them was the potential to offer hosting solutions to their clients and introduce them into the partnership program. So there is usually, not always, but there is usually a way of attaching people to your business in one way or another, and that all comes from seeing the bigger picture. And also, you need to remember with regards to leads that it's not about quantity, it is really about quality. You don't want to be spending the week or 2 weeks following the show ploughing through hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of leads that have left you euphoric on the last day of the show because you've met your target, but you don't want to be ploughing through them 2 weeks later simply because if the conversion rate is very low, then you've wasted an awful lot of time. So be prepared to qualify leads at the show, and you do that really by talking to people and engaging with them. It's really important that you make the most of the main opportunity that live marketing events offer you, and that is to engage with people. Also, you want to inform people. Inform them and entertain them if you can as well. And the reason I mention entertainment here, yes, it's a slight pitch in the terms of the type of service I offer, but really what entertainment does is entertainment opens up certain neurological pathways in the brain. If you entertain people, what you're doing is you're going back to the first point that I made, which is about changing their emotional state or changing their physical state. And by doing that, you're opening up these neurological pathways in the brain which make it much easier for you to impart information to them. It's all to do with the limbic system in the brain, and that's where we learn. It's a very base part of our brain, very primitive part of our brain. But once that's opened up, you'll find that people are much more susceptible, much more available to you, much more open to hearing what you have to say about your products or services. And it is important that you inform as many people as possible about your products or services. Yes, I've just said pre-qualify, but that's in terms of the leads you generate. You need to be informing and entertaining as many people as you possibly can. And why do you want to do that? Well, as I said earlier, not everyone is going to be an immediate fit for your business, but that doesn't mean they won't be a fit for your business in the future. And so by informing and entertaining literally everyone at the show, then you have created potential customers for the future. Now, delivering information, if you are going to deliver information, do it personally. Do it in a way where they feel you have made an effort to offer them that information. Simply handing people a brochure, and people will approach the stand and say, can I just take some information? If they do, try and engage with them, try and talk to them, and then maybe mark a certain page in your brochure that it will be of use to them. Put a post-it note, a handwritten note, something like that that will allow them to feel that you've made an effort for them. Handing out brochures is really, all you're doing is filling recycling bins up around the country. You need to do things on a personal level. I keep going back to this, but that is what live marketing events allow you to do. They allow you to engage with people. So that's what you need to be doing, engaging with people. As I said earlier, entertainment does aid memory by adding entertainment to the information that you impart, by adding the whole sensation of an experience, by creating an experience around the imparting of information. You're making it much more memorable. And entertainment doesn't have to be a magician, it doesn't have to be showgirls, it can simply be making somebody smile. It can simply be making a comment about the fact that you like their shoes or the way their hair is, or the fact that they look nice today. You're entertaining them, you're engaging with them. That's what entertainment is. Entertainment simply means changing their emotional state. And I mentioned that earlier, that provides you with a great memory hook. And if you can do that entertainment, you can provide that kind of service while you're imparting information to them, then they'll remember that information, they'll remember who you are, and they'll be much more open to talking to you after the show. And finally, I want a quick word about giveaways. Giveaways on a stand are not there to attract attention. If you have pens or mugs or frisbees or whatever it is you have, please don't use them to attract attention. Use them as a thank you for people stopping at the stand. Use them as a memory hook. Use them to help people remember who you are. Now, if you haven't told them who you are and you give them something, they don't care. They've simply got a free pen. Ask yourself this question. How many times have you phoned somebody up because you saw their number on a mug? If the answer is more than once, I would be surprised. These things are simply there to allow people to remember you by. They're a thank you for them visiting your stand. And if you are going to do giveaways, make it a transaction. Give them a gift for imparting some information to you, because you want to try and achieve something by taking their information, and you thank them by giving them a gift. Okay, just handing out sweets and really isn't going to do you any favors. It may get a greater foot traffic through a flow of traffic through your stand. How many of them are going to remember you? How many of them genuinely think, oh, that person who gave me the M&Ms from that bowl, wasn't that so and so? It's not going to happen. All gifts are there for is to act as a memory hook, and that's how really you should be using them, as a memory hook. Okay, the key point of any trade show, any exhibition, is to create selling opportunities. Now, I say create selling opportunities because I don't see trade shows anymore anyway as being a great place to sell to people, unless you have meetings set up during that trade show where you are going to be meeting clients whom you've had conversations with beforehand. Unless that's the case, then a trade show, an exhibition, isn't a great environment to be selling to people. Certainly within the business to business market. Business to consumer, it's slightly different, but I'm really talking about business to business in this presentation. So create selling opportunities. That's what you want to try and achieve. And you can do this by scheduling meetings and sales calls. When someone comes to the stand, you take that you've engaged with them, you've sounded them out, you've found out that they are a good fit for your business. Then give them your details, take their details, and schedule a sales call. Schedule a call. Tell them when you're going to phone them. Don't just say, we will call you in the next few weeks. Take out a diary, schedule it in. Make sure you're both available. Make sure they're willing to commit to that time, and you are already a step closer to making a sale and to creating a new client and to making a difference to somebody. So use the environment to schedule in meetings and to schedule in sales calls, or just calls to follow up, but let them know when you're going to do that. Don't leave it too open. If it's left too open, then there's a good chance you won't do it. If you put it in the diary, you'll do it. And here is an important one. Just because you have taken somebody's information in the form of a business card at a trade show, that does not mean they have opted in to your weekly newsletter. Okay? Taking information at a trade show, unless you specifically ask them whether they are happy for you to sign them up to your mailing list, does not mean they have opted in. I can assure you that if you do ask people at these events, if they're happy for you to contact them, following up from the show, are you happy for me to contact you regarding the products and services we offer? If they say yes, then they have opted in. They have given you permission for you to contact them. Taking somebody's business card only gives you permission to call them regarding that information that you've talked about. It doesn't give you permission to put them on a mailing list and then spam them for the next 12 months. I've made this mistake myself, and it's something which I am trying to rectify within my own business, because not only does it cost you money if you use a mail service internally, like Aweber or MailChimp, something like that. It's costing you money every time you send an email, but also you're not creating a great impression with people. You're spamming them, and please make sure people have opted in. Make sure you're using the whole concept of permission marketing properly. And I know you're probably very experienced marketers, and I know that's probably going to fall. It's preaching to the converted, but I think it's really, really important that you understand. If you are new to trade shows, please be aware that simply the fact that you've taken a business card does not mean they have opted in to your mailing list. That's a very specific thing. You can send them an email and ask them if they would like to opt into your email list, and then they have opted in. So just make sure people have opted in properly. And finally, what you want to do is to create some kind of call to action. Now, this is obviously a classic. Again, going back to Ada, we've got attention, interest, we've got desire, we need some kind of action. This action is really the moment that you want to ask them to hand over information to you, by asking them to sign, to give you their information, to fill out a contact form. And I'm a big fan of contact forms, of handwritten contact forms. The reason being that it enables you to spend more time with people. You can be much more specific with them about the areas. If they have queries about your products or services, then you can answer those queries then. That's your call to action. Would you mind giving us your information? That's a call to action. They say yes, you have that action, you have their information, you have a tick. If you have an opt-in box, going back to the last point, you can have that tick box on the bottom of the page of your lead sheet. Are you happy for us to contact you following the show regarding our other products and services? Yes, you've opted in. That's a call to action. by scheduling meetings, that's a call to action. Are you happy for me to call you at Tuesday next week at 3 o'clock in the afternoon? Yes, it's a call to action. You've asked them for something and they've responded in the affirmative. Always finish with a call to action. Always finish by knowing what the next step is going to be. So there you have it. 5 things which I think are really important to make your next trade show a successful one. That's make a difference, attract attention, generate leads, inform and entertain, and create selling opportunities. And there we have MAGIC. And that, my friends, is magic. And it's the magic of trade show success.